We have Bitcoin sitting just a tick under the $60,000 key level, and in today's show we're going to go through whether this time is different, as well as the capitulation which we're currently seeing within the crypto markets. It's already started, it has begun, and we'll get through this and a whole lot more in today's show. Look at some major economic high impact data coming out. I also want to have a look at Solana and some of the FUD around Solana, so stay through till the end, smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get straight into the show content. And we are currently witnessing a time-based capitulation, right? You can see we are sitting now 173 days into this corrective phase over here, which is one of the longest, but we said it is possible that we'll continue this all the way until we get to the yellow line over here, which is coming in around the 12th of September. And we have a lot of very, very important dates lining up. Remember, 160 days post-halving cycle is usually where you start to see major expansion. And if you look at all the other price cycles from the start to the point after that halving cycle, and you measure out those days between 680 and 685 days, which are the two orange lines over here, is also where you start to see a major uptick within those markets. And we're fast approaching those dates, but the market is in capitulation. Now, it's not the typical capitulation that many people think of, right? When people think of capitulation, they think of this price just going down, just like it did in March 2020 when the world shut down for COVID, and we saw Bitcoin go all the way down to $3,400, $500-ish dollars. That's not the type of capitulation. This is a different capitulation where market boredom sets in and the price moves sideways, chopping everybody in and out of their positions. Now, this is usually, as you get to the end, right towards the final bit, the hardest part to stay into the market. So make sure that you don't leave until we get past this date over here, which is in October. Make sure that you remain hyper-focused. And this is even in terms of the sentiment. If you look at the Wall Street cheat sheet, we also like to think of that with extreme price moves, both to the up and the downside, when we go through that thrill, euphoria, anxiety, fear, panic, capitulation, and depression, which then leads back into hope, relief, and optimism into the next cycle. Well, we have actually experienced a whole lot of those feelings over here. There was definitely, some thrill and euphoria coming into the top side over here, and there was definitely capitulation coming into the bottom side over here, that capitulation, desperation. And now we're kind of in this phase over here where people don't trust the rally, right? You're leading into the next phase over here as you move into relief. People have distrust for what's happening over here with the current price action. And despite it not being those mad swings like we usually see within the market cycles up and down, people are still going through the relevant emotional phases. And we can actually have a look at also another signal over here, which showcases capitulation within the market. Typically, when you have extreme colors of pink or purple on the chart, this is calculated by the funding rates. Then you can see where the market moves into capitulation. To give you an example, we saw that occur over here with the Bitcoin price coming all the way down to these low levels, where Bitcoin did go down in COVID to that sub $4,000 level, and then led into the next massive move over there. Now, I can zoom in over here to give you a little bit of a better understanding. It obviously doesn't, unfortunately, measure too much of Bitcoin's history. It was only created in 2019, but nevertheless, when you look at that, you got those pinks and purples over there. If you fast forward and you go to the next one, that was the pinks and purples for the COVID lows, and then pretty much price rallied aggressively from that point onwards. If you go through to the next phase over here, this was also where we had the double top that occurred in 2021. You got the pinks and the purples, negative funding rates, price rallies higher, and then we saw the same thing over here with the FTX lows, pinks and purples all the way at the bottom, $15,500. And then if you look at it right now, well, we can currently see once again the presence of the purple color showing up on the chart over here multiple times. Not yet pink, but we have got the purple showing that capitulation. And if you go through to Google Trends as well, look at how flat the terminologies are in terms of searching on Google. Bitcoin, crypto, Ethereum, literally in a downtrend, flat all the way at the bottom. And what's interesting as well is we haven't taken out the Bitcoin search trends for 2017. However, if you look at specifically Ethereum, Ethereum and crypto, those took out the 2021 highs, took out what happened in 2017. And again, you can even go a step further and you can have a look at the YouTube views, which have been dropping astronomically ever since that peak over here where Bitcoin went just around that $72,000 level. It's been downtrending pretty aggressively since all these channels across YouTube that cater towards the crypto markets are getting combined cumulatively less than 1 million views per day. When if you compare again to what occurred over here in the peaks of the previous cycle, well, we're looking at about 4 million views across the board per day, peaking at about 4 million. And we'd expect higher prices. So if you do want to help to get the retail market participants back into the market, make sure you smash the like button. That gets the YouTube algorithm going and shares this video with more people. Now, let's say we don't want to isolate to just YouTube, right? We want to have a look at crypto in other spheres as well. So we can have a look at the Twitter followers and analysts and see, is their follower count increasing? And you see exactly the same thing over here, right? The color scheme is all the way flatlined at the bottom, pretty much at the same levels that we saw all the way back in 2020, pre-massive pump into the bull run. So a lot to look at over there. And we have some high impact economic events that are coming up. Going to go through a whole bunch of data over here that would potentially move the markets in the coming weeks. Give or take, you're looking at about 2 to 4 weeks left, right? For multiple reasons. One reason is, again, if you just line up from here to the end point over there, which is 685 days into the cycle, well, that is 33 days left to go before you get to that point. And that's where we do expect some excitement to come back into the market. So some big events that are coming up: US ISM manufacturing PMI. This is oftentimes the Fed's better gauge at what's happening with the inflation is with looking at the manufacturing data over there. And then we have the same thing, ISM services PMI coming out on Thursday. And then on Friday, we have the US average hourly earnings month on month, and then the non-farm employment change and US unemployment rate data coming out. All of this will assist the Fed in making their next decision for how much they're going to cut by. Currently, it stands as a target probability, at least of 100%, that they will be cutting interest rates. It's just a question of, is it going to be a 25 basis point cut, or they're going to do the double cut at 50 basis points. Currently, it's pricing in a 31% probability we'll get 50 and 69% probability that we'll get a 25 basis point rate cut. This is important because when you do get these cuts, it's considered a pivot within the market, and oftentimes the pivot leads to a price reaction. They call it either a soft landing or a hard landing following the pivot, and therefore this is why this information is important. Now, if you look at Jonah, he says Fed interest rate cuts follow two trajectories typically. Number one, a response to deflationary shocks, aka crises, or number two, a response to gradually easing inflation. We're currently in the latter scenario, which is almost always results in a big risk on rally. So at least this is according to this data over here, but we can actually overlay the Fed interest rate cuts that have previously occurred with the S&P 500 chart over here. And then we have the grayed out areas. If I just turn it on and off over there, you can see it popping up on the screen. That is your recessionary environment. Now, unfortunately, we can't look at this too far back in relation to what it did to Bitcoin. We have to look at how it reacted with the S&P 500. The reason why is because Bitcoin has only been around in the presence of one interest rate cut, which occurred in 2019. You can see over here, and that led into the shortest recession that we've ever seen, which was this one in 2020, pretty much marking the exact bottom, and prices rallied after that. So this would be considered a hard landing, right? If you have a look at this one over here, this one also resulted in a relatively hard landing in 2008, leading into that massive crash, the 2008-9 great financial crisis that started the new 18.6-year cycle, which we're currently trending and following to the T, right? Expecting higher prices to come. If you look at this one over here, this Fed interest rate cut over here, pretty much by the time the cuts were finished, the market had already bottomed, and then you led into a massive move towards the upside. So I think it's noteworthy. I think it's something that we should focus on as they do cut the interest rates over here. Watch for the reaction of price into the market. At the end of the day, the trend is your friend till the end of the trend, and the trends are down on the lower and medium time frames, right? So lower lows and lower highs is the name of the game. You can wait for the break of structure, clear those levels, and create higher highs and higher lows, and then you can start to reallocate into the market. That is if you're a very, very conservative person. If you're pretty aggressive and you want to buy the Pico bottoms, well, you're probably looking to dollar cost average into the market right now as it currently stands. Now, we can see that we are approaching here the US presidential election, and I've also just lined up the previous elections. We've looked at this before, and you guys will note you get the big moves, right? Following those election phases, that's where you get the bull market rallies that occur. This is your Barack Obama era, Donald Trump era, where he won or at least the last elections that he won. 2020 elections led into an up move, Joe Biden era. And then I've lined up over here as well in purple the interest rate cuts, right? So when the Fed did pivot, this was in 2019. This is essentially what happened, right? A controlled fashion of lower lows and lower highs. The only thing is it feels like the market has already started to price this in and front run that, because if you look at the current price action in relation to 2019, well, it does look very, very similar. And it is on a high time frame, still following a bullish structure in the sense that you have a massive bull pennant, right? And we'll talk about that in a moment. The other things that I wanted to talk about is the SEC has warned that it may challenge the repayments made to the FTX creditors. Remember, they went through the whole liquidation event where they need to pay out at least the creditors, and they're looking to pay it out in at least stablecoins, right? Cash to include US dollar peg stablecoins. This is important because this could be like giving stablecoins, at least to degens, that thought they didn't have it, and they might be looking to roll the dice and make it all back in one trade, especially if they understand crypto, which they probably do if they were here in the last cycle. We're also seeing gold push up to new all-time highs over here. We're currently still in that long trade. You might come all the way back down to break even or entry. If you do take out that level, I'll probably look to re-enter just a little bit lower. But on a high time frame, this is still looking pretty bullish, with gold trending all the way up to new all-time highs. Bitcoin typically follows gold. It oftentimes just lags, right? M2 money supply versus Bitcoin. We have the M2 money supply also increasing towards the upside. Here's your Bitcoin chart over here. It's also slightly lagging. And we've spoken about what happens when you add 10% to the M2 money supply, which is what we saw 5% over the months of July and August. And usually that results in a 90% price appreciation when you get 10% added to the M2 money supply. 90% price appreciation for Bitcoin is what's been the name of the game previously. I also want to talk about this. As 𝗕𝗧𝗕𝗲 suggests over here, $6.4 trillion worth of cash is sitting in money markets, and it's only earning 5%. But what happens on the 18th of September? Well, they're going to cut interest rates, right? Which means that they're not going to be getting the usual 5%, and therefore they're going to be looking for better returning investments. And that's possibly where you could start to see some of that money moving back into other assets, like maybe the S&P 500, right? And we know that Bitcoin follows the S&P 500. There'll be a spillover effect leading from those money markets into crypto, right? From S&P 500 into crypto, looking for bigger and better returns. And I do want to also look at the S&P 500 over here in terms of the risk levels, right? So what you can do is you can actually focus on the risk level over here, which is labeled as 0.869. Now, the important thing is we only just went into that 0.869 level. And what you can then do is look at how long do you spend within those risk bands. Now, if you go here to the 0.869 level, you can spend 1,108 days in that level. Typically, right? On average, that's how long you spend in there, which means that if you think the market is overvalued over here, remember, it can continue to trend like this for a long period of time. We only just got into that zone. If we do get into the next risk band, well, that one's short to live, right? If we do start to push, I'll warn you guys of that you typically only spend about 28 days in the 0.9 to 1 risk band on the S&P 500. All you have to do is watch the show every day. All you have to do is join into the Whale Room Discord, which is exactly where I'll share all this information when relevant, and we look to exit the markets. Now, if you are focusing on the rest of the markets over here, you can see gold's been trending up. Bitcoin is, of course, at least a divergence compared to all the other markets. Gold up, cost of energy up, Nvidia has been up, Tesla's pretty much been flat, oil has been down, Nasdaq futures is up, S&P 500 is up. So all in all, we're expecting a little bit of a catch-up trade. Now, if you do want to trade these other markets, by the way, any of these alternative markets over here, there is a link in the description below. We tend to use Prime XBT because it's both crypto and TradFi friendly. You got crypto, stocks, commodities, and forex pairs all in one easy to use place. Right over here, you can see on the left hand side is all your various different pairs. If you go to all the markets, this is your S&P 500, you got the Dow Jones, you got all your crypto pairs over here as well. If you guys do want an easy on-ramp that works for both crypto and the stock market, there it is. There's a link below. We got a special offer just for you guys, 20% sign-up bonus based on whatever you deposit. You're getting 20% in the form of USDT added to your account, or you can opt for the 25% on discount on commissions, right? Which means the fees are reduced by 25% for every single time that you trade. So to summarize everything that I've covered over here, this is your perfect storm, right? As Lark suggests over here, 16 days away from the potential rate cuts. He is being very cautious with his wording over here, saying potential, but so far, again, I will remind you, according to the probabilities over here, it's pretty much guaranteed. As it currently stands, it's pretty much guaranteed, right? And he says US elections are just 65 days away. I've shown you what happens leading into those election phases. FTX about to redistribute specifically $16 billion in cash to crypto degens going into Q4, which we expect is going to be a good quarter. We spoke about that. Q3 typically only up 5%. Q4 somewhere in the region of 80% plus upside, especially when it's in a bull market year. Gold prices are at an all-time high. We spoke about how crypto tends to follow that. M2 money supply is also increasing. We've spoken about that. The total market cap of stablecoins is also at its all-time high, which is generally good for crypto. And then we have fresh liquidity entering into the crypto market. So a whole lot going on. And if you Google a bull flag, you'll see this across the board on your weekly timeframes for total 1, 2, 3 others, as well as having a look at Bitcoin. Now, there it is, right? This is how you essentially measure out how far the move will go. You have your flagpole rising all the way to the top side. Price then does move sometimes into low lows and low highs, which makes it incredibly difficult to trade. And essentially, you want to wait for the break of structure, which takes out the prior lower high. And then you copy and paste that pole over here, which will give you a measured move all the way to the top side, and it would look something like this. So this is it on total. This is your total crypto market cap. Now, of course, the level that will hit will depend on when it breaks out, but give or take, you'd be expecting from the bottom of this parallel channel over here, should the total crypto market break out, you're looking at adding about 93%, which is pretty interesting as a number, right? Because didn't I just tell you how when the M2 money supply increases by 10%, you typically add 90% to Bitcoin's price? Well, this is pretty close, right? 93% if you do break out of this bull flag, that's your bull flag on the total crypto market cap. And if the total market cap goes up, everything goes up, right? So a whole lot to look at over there. And then on Bitcoin, you're seeing the bull pennant, right? This could better fit a flag. For now, I've left it as a pennant, but it could better fit a flag. If it does fit a flag, it would simply look like that, right? You're looking at price operating between this parallel channel towards the downside. I've left it as a pennant just for the time being, focusing on those particular levels. And ultimately, the levels to clear is this: get above the previous week's high, as well as the week before that high, which is pretty much at the exact same level because we just had a bearish engulfing candle. It means you need to see Bitcoin break on a weekly scale above $64,700, close multiple candles there, and this may be the start of the breakout, taking Bitcoin all the way up over here into the $100,000 territory, give or take $104,000. So a lot to look forward to in terms of this. Trend is still down, right? Which is why when it comes to these bull flags, you do have to be really, really careful. I want to be crystal clear on that. Price is below the 21 exponential moving average, and so long as we have that in the short to medium time frame, that remains bearish. The higher time frame, we still remain bullish, right? And you can see over here, if you look at total crypto market cap using our moving averages, well, they're all angle towards the downside with a short below the medium, below the long term, and price below that, that starts a trend in motion towards the downside. Total 2 looks exactly the same. Total 3 looks exactly the same. Others looks exactly the same. And if you go through to ETH also looks the same. Let's see Solana. Solana chopping around, looking at actually a little bit healthier. We're going to talk a bit more about Solana as well in a moment. So those are some of the charts. That's what we're looking at over there. Bitcoin continues to chop around. And this looks like the most likely outcome at the moment is possibly just one more drop down to fill this inefficiency from the wick that occurred over here, coming down into about that $61,000 to $63,000 region. And then you're looking for a major high low and continuation higher. Hopefully that lines up, somewhere around the end of September, beginning of October. And that's where trends could start to shift. So all in all, September is probably a major opportunity. You can see some of the market participants, if you go into the Whale Room Discord over here, are moving into long positions on Bitcoin and ETH. Solana, Pepe, WIF, and NEAR continue to remain negative over there, meaning they're shorting the market. Fear and greed at 26, exactly the same level as yesterday. Liquidation levels, we got our tight little range over here with a liquidation level at 59,800, and just below that 58,670. So a super tight range over here as price continues to bounce around. And this is what the altcoin sector looks like, at least for the top 100 coins, right? Hourly down, daily slightly up over there, weekly down, monthly down, and yearly, well, a couple of coins up massively, but for most of them, I would say relatively flat on the year. So therefore, if next year is going to continue to be a bull year, it is probably a big opportunity. Now, I want to talk about this tweet over here. This tweet got 1 million views. It was even retweeted by Zero Hedge, particularly bearish Twitter account that you pretty much always bear post. So he says over here, this is crazy. Solana on-chain volume has hit all-time lows. Even at $12, Solana actually had more daily on-chain volume than it has now. What happened? This is as per Dune Analytics, right? Well, you need to dive into the details. That's what I would say. You need to dive into the details. And if you do, you'll see that it's not entirely accurate, right? It caused a lot of fear, that tweet. You can see that the Solana ETH chart came back down, starting to look like a deviation from the top side of the range over here. There you go, lower high, breaking back below, gaining acceptance underneath this level over here, and ultimately watch as it comes down towards the mid-range over here. If it loses that, you're probably coming all the way back to 0.04. Now, this is why I've said it's worth holding both ETH and Solana. It's really challenging when you do the pair trading, especially following such an extended move like this, and everybody was capitulating out of Ethereum into Solana at this particular point. But where are the longer term trends when it comes to Solana? Is there merit in this tweet, or is it complete BS? Well, if you go and have a look at this over here, you can see as per dominance across the board, it still has Ethereum at 28.79% dominance, Solana at 23% dominance. That is as per the volume on chain, which means that Solana is still doing relatively well, right? Considering the market cap in relation to what ETH's market cap is, holding 23% of the dominance on chain is absolutely enormous when it comes to volume. Now, if you go through to this one over here, you can see as well, what do you have over here? Solana volume is an all-time low. Oh, really? He says over here. Well, if you have a look at this chart over here, what does the volume look like from DeFi Llama? The volume is increasing, right? This is the third highest volume that Solana has ever experienced. July was higher. And then if you look at March was the highest volume, because that is when the meme coin sector was going absolutely crazy. If you look at this over here, we can also have a look at the charts comparing Solana to BTC, Solana to ETH, and then looking at the dominance charts. Solana BTC still trending up, Solana ETH still trending up, Solana dominance still trending up at 3.07%, Bitcoin dominance also trending up. Where do you have ETH, right? ETH dominance is coming down, BNB dominance is flat and possibly rolling over. ETH BTC continues to remain down, and Sol BNB remains flat, therefore suggesting that Solana is still a relatively strong pick, right, in terms of the greater scheme of things. And if you have a look at this, remember, I do want to remind you, 20 to 21st of September is going to be Solana Breakpoint happening at Singapore. oftentimes leading into these events, you do see a pump. We have to look at the price chart to see where the levels would be, but I think it's worth noting that Solana is approaching the range lows. Now, this is the level you want to see hold. If you patient and you wait, you may just see one sweep down into this $120 level. If it can hold that $120 level, you're looking to trade it back to the mid-range and possibly the range high. So observe the price action. A lot can happen in 3 weeks leading into that event. If prices are rallying into that event and hitting a key level like mid-range or range high, then usually it becomes a sell the news event, right? When it comes into these events is usually where you want to start to sell. The other one I wanted to talk about is 𝗬𝗎, right? We'll have a look at a few other altcoins in just a moment, but you do have 𝗬𝗎 coming into the fair value gap once again. This is a little bit of a deeper correction, which is what I was looking for, waiting for price to react and push out of here. I'm still viewing this as potentially the final shakeout for 𝗬𝗎. I think this is one of the longer term better bets as well to be holding if you're looking to allocate into what I would say is a rock solid portfolio for the next 12 months. I think Solana and 𝗬𝗎 are good picks, right? As well as a few others like Casper, Brett, etc. We've spoken about this before, but I did arrange something special for you guys, the audience. If you are looking for non-KYC exchange to trade on and you use the link in the description below and you sign up, they'll actually give you some free 𝗬𝗎 for each $100 that you deposit. You'll get $10 of 𝗬𝗎. It is limited to the first 100 users. I think we hit the cap, but I did ask them to do me a favor and push it for 20 more people. It doesn't say it over here, but we have a space for 20 more people. When you do sign up as well, you can come through over here and you can spin the wheel. You have a chance to win 1,000 𝗬𝗎, right? Which is about, give or take, about $1,000, 100 injective, 10 rune, 100 mantra, or you can spin the wheel and try again, right? So that is specific to my audience, or at least you guys, you viewers. Go through to the link below. You'll see Blowfin, and then also, of course, Prime XBT if you do want to sign up to trade traditional markets. Okay, ETH BTC chart still around those lows over there. We'll keep an eye out on that, and we're still expecting a top sometime in the coming months, weeks to months, I would say, for Bitcoin dominance. So the top in Bitcoin dominance is likely the bottom in ETH BTC, which also means altcoins tend to break out following that point. But I want to be crystal clear, as it currently stands, risk is definitely still towards the downside and the market is under pressure, right? So you can either wait for confirmation or you can slowly DCA into the market. Right, let's have a quick look at injective. I also want to double check this. Okay, it's okay for DCAing into this zone over here. It's not the perfect level, but I'm keeping an eye on injector for the long run. TON probably still coming towards those range lows, hasn't broken that level yet. Let's see anything else we want on our list. Okay, let's have a look at still lower lows and lower highs on near Tron. Okay, Tron coming down a little bit over here. So this is an interesting one. What I would do is I'd mark out the 50% level. So let's quickly grab that. And we want to go from bottom to top over there. Maybe, just maybe, this revisits all the way back down to the breakout level, which is your range high over here. So keep an eye out on this. If Tron comes all the way down into that zone and it shows signs of strength, that could be the next major high low. It would be coming in to give you the level 14 cents, right? 14.2 to be precise. Okay, 14.2. Let's see what else have we got. AVAX. Yeah, we can have a look at AVAX. How's AVAX doing? Okay, AVAX still suffering over here, lower lows and lower highs, failing to get above some of these key levels over here. Look, similar to the rest of the market, expect continued chop, and all you can do is look for small little buys at the bottom of the range over there, which is going to be coming in at 18.96, around that 19-cent region. And if that doesn't hold, acceptance below opens up the possibility to trade even lower. All right, let's see, 𝗕𝗏. Let's have a look at 𝗕𝗏, because we know DeFi was pumping at one point, but did it maintain those gains is the question. So 𝗕𝗏, let's have a look. Okay, 𝗕𝗏 is still okay. It is holding up. Definitely, it is still holding up. So you had high highs and high lows, breaking out of the range over here, pretty much back testing into the 114. It's okay. As long as it holds up above that level, it has the chance to possibly establish a new trend. Okay. Let's see. What else have we got? Let me know in the comments, guys. Drop those coins. I see somebody wants Litecoin. We'll have a look at Litecoin. I can't even remember the last time that I looked at Litecoin. But one thing I can tell you for certain is Litecoin against Bitcoin is absolutely wrecked. You don't want to be holding this for the long term. Okay, let's look chart wise though. Really, I don't have much comment. It's truly, truly flat. There's much better coins out there. If I have to be totally honest with you, your range low is coming in at about $50, and your range high for this to break out will need to get above 105. And I can actually showcase this to you. Let's go through to this chart just because it's going to be much quicker. Give me a second over here. Have a look at this. Let me show you something over here. Okay, so we're going to use Litecoin. Let's have a look at Litecoin. Is it even on this list anymore? Okay, let's see. Litecoin. I want to show you what Litecoin looks like against Bitcoin. And that's what the chart looks like, which is terrible. I mean, guys, this is a straight downtrend, literally from 2014, had a couple of big pumps, but overall, this has just been bleeding against Bitcoin. So you really want to be careful. Let's have a look even at 𝗕𝗓𝗄, right? Because I see that 𝗕𝗓𝗄 is coming up as a question once again. So let's have a look at 𝗕𝗓𝗄 specifically against Bitcoin, and let's see what the chart looks like. So 𝗕𝗓𝗄 downtrending all the way. This could just be a little pump that leads into the next lower high and then bleeds out further. So please be careful on that. Let's look at, see there's a question over there for Casper. So Casper is probably flat at the moment, but had a massive uptrend. There we go. Just as I thought, massive uptrend over here. Now it's flat consolidating, and I'd expect this to go higher. All right, let's see Tron over here. So also we identified this long ago as one of the stronger coins. This one should be uptrending. Let's have a look. Okay, it was downtrending, relatively flat in the short term. It's been uptrending. This one's okay. It's average coin over there. All right, let's go to some of the AI. I see there's a query around Fetch, so we can have a look at Fetch. Also, before we go to Fetch, let's see EOS. So EOS approaching the level of interest over there. Let's go to Fetch AI. Okay, Fetch AI. Why do I have all of that over there? All right. Possibly trying to reverse the trend over here. I would be viewing this as potentially a clear range level. So the green line, let's make it white to be a bit clearer. Let's see if it can hold up above that. You do theoretically have a higher high, so possibly this is the start of the high low and maybe a little bit of a trend reversal. Keep an eye out on this. It's not picture perfect, but I would be watching something like that. You know, if it can gain acceptance above, maybe have a new little trend that's starting over there. All right, so that's it from me, folks. I'll catch you all on the next one. I'll see the rest of you on Whale Room later today. Make sure if you're not in Whale Room, jump in, join us over there. A lot of education goes around. I'll see you all on the next one. Have a great day, and cheers for now.